Hello, peeps and creeps, and welcome to Fright Club. I'm Gav, he's Danny.
Hello.
We are the Fright Club and this is a brand new episode of Monday Night Frights. On tonight's show, we're talking about Aislinn Clarke's debut feature film, The Devil's Doorway.
I think we'll find it's called The Devil's Doorway.
Doorway, boy.
It's The Devil's Doorway.
Do you see her? Thomas?
And we're back with episode 7.7 of Monday Night Frights. Tonight we're talking about The Devil's Doorway.
The Devil's Doorway.
Written and directed by one of our own, Aislinn Clarke.
Exactly. Some local talent.
Oh, very good local talent.
We're gonna talk about some good local talent.
Sure, it was only filmed down the road.
It's only down the way.
We could have been in it.
We could have been. Oh, imagine we could have been the two priesties. You know what? I'd loved it. Like I thought it was. I enjoyed hearing our wee accents. Like
I know.
Wee local accents.
It's all good. It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So Danny, you're a little bit poorly.
Yes, I'm a little bit. I'm feeling better than I was, but my voice may give out on me through this, so I do apologize if I start sounding like a small teen boy, because it might just croak out on me, and I'll be like, "Oh no!"
If Danny re-enters puberty, you know why? It's
That's
because he's been poorly and he's had a wee sore throat for a few days.
Definitely not about talking about bad nuns, you know. I won't sort of regress into some sort of like past trauma around a nun or anything.
Do you know what though? You could do a good demon voice, can you? No surrender.
No surrender. I'll take your soul through your hole.
Oh fuck yes. Right, okay, let's get on with this. Yes, so we're here to talk about The Devil's Doorway, which was a found footage horror film released in 2018. As we said, it was directed by Aislinn Clarke, who is from Northern Ireland.
Where is she from?
She's from somewhere around Belfast.
Is she around Belfast?
I think so. Right. So. If she happens to watch this, and sorry if we didn't.
Maybe she could come and talk to us. Does she want to come and say hi?
She's a bit busy. I think she's actually filming her next horror film.
Next feature.
Yes. So okay. I think they actually are filming right now. So very eager to see that one because I personally really enjoyed this. I have some issues with it, and we'll get into the issues. But kind of first off, my first thoughts are, yes, this is a fairly good found footage horror film. It was funded mostly, I think, pretty much all by Northern Ireland Screen, who are a great funding company here in Northern Ireland, and they help a lot of young and upcoming writers and directors and projects to get off their feet. The premise is it's set in the 1960s. We're not given an exact year, but it's set in a Magdalene laundry. It's about two Catholic priests who are sent to investigate an alleged miracle that has happened in this laundry. And guess what, Danny?
Shit's not quite what it seems.
No, they discover something sinister and evil is happening.
Do you mean just the nuns being sorry for the language, but they're bad. They're bad bastards.
They're bad eggs, especially back in the 60s, man.
Like,
no offense to any nuns now.
Not all nuns are bad. We can't tar all the nuns with the one brush.
If there's any nuns watching, I apologize.
Unless you worked in a Magdalene laundry, then that's
here. For anyone who is watching this who doesn't know what a Magdalene laundry is, if you've seen the film Magdalene Sisters, which was quite a big film years ago, that kind of focused on what happened in those laundries. It was essentially an asylum or a prison for fallen women, as they were called. Women who got pregnant at a young age or were unmarried and they had kids,
or just happened to be a bit mouthy. Off to the Magdalene laundry,
just like the wee buck, just going out having sex, and then they got locked up, and then they were sort of institutionalized, I suppose, to a certain extent. They were kind of made to think that they were crazy. Some of them were crazy, or they were driven crazy by the mad nuns, as we've already established. All nuns are mad. So this film focuses on that. It does dip in and out of kind of the history of the Catholic Church and all the bad shit that it did do, but it mostly focuses on the evil shit, which we're about to get into.
It does, it uses the evil shit to kind of the evil shit has a message for the real nasty shit that was actually going on.
Would you say that the demon in this film, or the evil, would you say that that's kind of like allegory for the past crimes of the Catholic Church?
Yeah, and of the Magdalene laundries, that's the big thing. And then the fact that, especially more recently, all the news that's come out about bodies, bodies of babies and young children being found on the sites and stuff. It's on the nose, but I think it does kind of have to be, especially with everything that's kind of gone on. And then it's not helped by the fact that the government released certain documents and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely, if it's something that you don't know about, this film, I think, would make you want to go and look it up, because it's a very thinly veiled sort of allegory for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's done very well. As you say, it is very much on the nose, but I think they do it really well. And
and it's spooky.
It's very spooky.
What we're here for. We're here for the spooky.
Hugely influenced by The Exorcist as well.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. Again, it definitely uses those Exorcist film tropes to full effect, But again, it's nice because found footage style. I completely forgot I'd seen this. I completely forgot that I'd already seen it until I started watching it and was like, oh, I just forgot that it was called Devil's Doorway. It could have had a better name, like, two Belfast priesties and an evil beastie.
I know.
That would have been a far better name for it. I wonder if it did. I wonder what the working title for it was. I feel like Devil's Doorway was maybe not the working title for this.
No.
I feel like
I have a funny feeling that that's something that they threw together at the end to make it a little bit more, to be able to sell it.
Yeah.
Because it sounds, it's got a good ring to it. It sounds like a horror film. I think we'll come up with a name before this video ends.
It's two Belfast priesties and an evil beastie. That's what they should have called it.
That is the name of it.
Yeah, two Belfast priesties and an evil beastie.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with that one. We'll go with that for now.
That's what this is going to be. Monday Night Frights, two Belfast priesties and an evil beastie, and people will be like, "What's this movie?" And then they'll click in and be like,
realize what it
Devil's
is.
Doorway. But it should have been called Two Belfast Priesties and an Evil Beastie.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yes, hugely inspired by Exorcist. It is found footage. For the most part, there are moments in the film where it sort of slides in and out of the found footage idea. It's not Blair Witch. A lot of it is Blair Witch, but there's moments where there's there's a voiceover from the younger priest who's the guy who's filming, and
he's kind of doing like piece to camera, but then it's been like edited with like cutaways of stuff that he's recorded off, camera 2, camera 3 angles and stuff like that.
I love the look of it. I love that it's got this sort of vintage look, 16mm type.
It's got a nice, film grain sort of effect to it.
It's edited in a way that it does. Yeah, okay. There's a couple of wee sort of kind of hokey moments in it where it is a wee bit kind of tropey, but I think for the most part it's edited very well. It does for the most part look like it could be a found footage film, because sometimes it looks a bit, some found footage they sort of forget that it's supposed to be found footage, and yes, you're right, it becomes too polished, and there are moments in this where it's kind of drifts away from that, but for the most part it does, is very effective.
It fits the bill,
It was actually co-written by Aislinn Clarke, who directed the film, Martin Brennan and Michael Jackson.
Shamon,
motherfucker!
No,
it was not co-written by the King of Pop. It was a different Michael Jackson, so fair play.
Oh, okay, a Belfast Michael Jackson.
Aye, a wee fucking.
Are you telling me there's somebody out there going,
a wee
Shamon,
motherfucker? A wee smick has co-written this.
Here, if Michael Jackson's watching this, get in touch. We would love to hear from you
from beyond the grave.
We want to know if you say Shamon. On down the Shamankle.
Come on down the Shamankle.
Shamankle.
The fucking.
Oh, fuck.
That's fucking disgusting. Anyway, so the how this film happened, the story behind the film and the premise was Aislinn felt very strongly about the story of the Magdalene asylums or laundries, as they were called. She wanted to tell a story from that part of history. But the strange thing is, Danny, this, we think about these laundries and the evil that went on there, but the last one closed in 1996.
Yeah,
in
it's
Northern
mental
Ireland.
how long they went on for.
That's
it's crazy.
less
It's
than less than 30 years ago.
I was 3 years old.
Yeah.
I was 3 years old whenever the last one closed, and it's like, how, and that's the thing.
Go ahead.
A lot of people, I think, they'll try to associate them with the South, but they were in Belfast too. Like,
of course they were.
North as well.
So yeah, 1996. But the reason why this attracted Aislinn Clarke to the story was, and she admitted in an interview that she had her child, her son, in 1997. When she was 17, I think she said she was. So, and she was unmarried. And she admitted that, had she had her child a year or two before that
close to being in a situation,
she could have easily have been one of the women held against their will in these kind of horrible buildings that drove women crazy.
Imagine that thought lingering over you, like, just because you're a young woman, not married, and you have a wean out of wedlock, that's it. You and your wean are fucked into this house.
This was in 1997. I think she said she had her child, and like that's crazy. That's less than 30 years ago, and to think that she thought that and didn't think that she could just have a child. And
people now in a fairly old age are only finding out that the people they grew up with thinking are their parents weren't. They'd been bought from one of these laundries. They've been given over without the consent of their original parent, which is insane. It's absolutely insane that the church and the state thought it was okay to get on like that. And then of course all the body stuff coming out now, and Wayne's thrown into wells and fucking sewer pits and stuff. It's absolutely wild.
It's, to steal a line from the film, and I'm paraphrasing, the nun mentions that the laundry isn't going to run itself, so they had to try to generate money from somewhere, and part of the way that they generated money was to sell the kids that these girls had in the laundry. It's fucking terrible, man. Absolutely terrible.
Awful. But awful piece of awful history that the country has. Like,
but it is history, so it's good to be able to look back on it and say this actually happened. Let's look at it and break it down, and let's make people aware of what happened. But so this was filmed in about 16 days from my research, Danny.
A bit of research. No, got them figures.
I don't have figures. Now, what I will say is it was a tiny budget. That's about as figurey as I'm going to get today.
I think they, again, for such a small budget, I think they've done a real good job. Like, it looks the part. The setting's amazing. All the wee prop pieces and stuff are fantastic. The costumes are good. It's a solid film. It's a really solid film.
I'll say where this film excels, I think, is in its location and its set decorations. It was filmed at Craigavon House, which was a stately home owned by a former unionist leader. I think it's a public house where you can go and you can do tours and stuff. Part of it was filmed there, and part of it was filmed at the KBL Mill. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, in Ballyclare. It's used in production, film production, and TV production quite a lot. And you can tell where they've used it here. Most of the dark shit where they go down in the basement, I'm assuming is the KBL Mill. And it fuck me. I mean, the set decorations are really well done, and I think that's where the film excels, because it feels like, actually looks like that place could have been real. Well, it was real. It was a real building, but I'm saying, you could imagine that back in the 1960s, that this place could have been one of these Magdalene laundries. And when they go down the stairs into the basement and you see all this shit stuff lying around, and they open the doors and it's all stinking. Just such a cool fucking location, man. I bet they had loads of fun filming it.
Oh, I'd say I would. Like between the content of what they were filming combined with that location, I'd say they've been shitting their necks. Like if they were on their own too long in any one of those places. Yeah, I thought definitely the setting and the set pieces and the costumes and stuff were great. I also really enjoyed some of the dialogue in this. I thought some of the dialogue was great. One line in particular that I absolutely loved, and it was on the second watch. That I was like, oh fuck, I forgot that line, but it's absolutely brilliant. Is the bit where the older priest is interviewing Sister Superior, and he's saying about the mistreatment of the young women, and and how they need to be doing better. The church needs to do better, and she says about, well, Father, how many of the babies' fathers do you know were fathers, Father?
Yeah.
And I was just like,
that's a deep burn. That's a deep burn.
That's a good one. You fucking tell him, missus. Even though she was a bad, she was a bad bitch. Absolute bad bitch. It reminds me of anytime like nuns being bad. I just think back to the Blues Brothers, the penguin.
Aye.
They're calling her the penguin. She's hitting them with the ruler. Them with the yardstick.
It's weird how nuns are kind of, well, I suppose they're not always portrayed as being old bad bastards.
Yeah. You got Sister Act.
Apart from Sister Act, and no joke, when I was watching this, Janine was coming in out, and she sort of came in towards the end when all the shit was happening. She said something. I said something about a nun, or she said, "Oh, why are nuns all bad?" I said that. She goes, "But they're not all bad. They're not bad in Sister Act."
Yeah, Sister Act's nuns are alright.
Yeah. She's not evil, but she is a bit of a fucking, she's hard, but she's fair in the end. But yeah, this definitely isn't in like Sister Act.
Yeah, Sound of Music as well. Sound of Music nuns were alright, were they not?
Were they?
I don't know. Yeah. Well, she didn't really want to be a nun in the end.
No,
because she found a man. So that's maybe they just all need to find a nice man with a wee family to sing with. Would have been alright.
Black Narcissus. Have you ever seen that?
No, but I've heard.
What was the other one out last year? Benedetta.
Yeah, that was the lesbian nuns.
That was a dirty nun. Aye.
That was a dirty nun.
A dirty nun.
Absolutely. Well,
I didn't see the film, but from everything that I saw, the promotional material, and I'm pretty sure I saw a trailer. There was a wee bit of nun stuff going on. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe that's none
maybe
of
our
that
was
business.
Just in my head. Maybe that was a dream. Maybe that was a dream. Okay. I don't know. Anyway, let's go on about
dreaming of them nuns, are you?
I know. So, yeah, fantastic sets, fantastic locations. We talked about the dialogue there. I think because we're from a little country called Northern Ireland, and whenever we see films that are from Northern Ireland, for the most part, it's okay, but sometimes it can be a wee bit cringy.
We got a bit of the I didn't with this, to be fair. This isn't one where I was sort of going, I heard the accent and was like, am I sure right with this? I'm okay.
It felt natural because I think sometimes maybe we see it a little bit more when it's like one or two Northern Irish people in a bigger production or something. You can sort of pick it out a wee bit and it feels a bit weird. But in this, because they were all from the north and the south,
it was all very much set here as well. It's whenever they pit one of us in a group of like people with English accents, and then they try to make like the people from here funny, and then it's just
most of the times it's fine, but sometimes what they do is they kind of overact, and their accent sounds like they're acting their accent. It sounds really weird.
It's whenever actually that Blue Lights that BBC did, there was a couple of the actors at the start of it were doing the hello, I am a member of the PSNI.
What about you?
What about you? I'm going to go catch me some criminals. So I am. That's right.
I know. Sometimes it can feel cringy. It didn't feel cringy in this. You're right. It felt very natural. And just to kind of expand on that, I think the acting in this was really stellar. I really, really liked the old priest.
He's fantastic. He's absolutely brilliant, and I'm sure he's done a few things before, but I can't pinpoint what else he's done. But he's definitely, I know I've seen him and stuff before, but I just can't think what exactly.
I want to say that and again, I could be wrong here. I want to say they made him look a bit older similar to what they did with Father Merrin in The Exorcist. He is older than what he was originally in the script, or the idea of that priest was there were supposed to be two young priests. But whenever I think what happened was in my research, I found out a little bit of information, Daniel, and the information that I found out was that the script was sent out to a few different people, and this guy got a hold of it and read it and said, "Oh, I want to be that priest," and then did a real quick audition for Aislinn Clarke. But I think that she had envisioned that it was two young priests. But I think it works having the older priest and a younger priest because again, it's that sort of Exorcist vibe where you have a mentor
sort of
who's kind of seen it and done it all, and then you have the young priest who is coming along and wants to be, very much wants to be a mentor type character. What's he from?
Fucking knew it. I knew it. Boys from County Hell. He was in that Boys from County Hell. It's great. And he's done that Cherry Bomb. He was in Hunger. He's done loads of stuff, man. But I knew him. Like I was like, I know your face. What do I know your face from? But that's it. He did all that. Boys, man. We should talk about the Boys from County Hell sometime.
We will.
Great local film as well.
We will. We definitely will talk about that soon because I haven't seen it. I've been holding off because I was like, no, we're going to talk about it, and I want to hold off and watch it fresh for the show.
He was in that Grabbers as well. Grabbers is great. We haven't talked about Grabbers.
We haven't talked about Grabbers either. We'll get there. Oh, we'll do a whole season just Northern Ireland, just horror films.
Northern Irish based horror. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So anyway, he's great. I thought the young priest was fucking fantastic too. And I loved the dynamic between the two. It was a bit. I said we've seen it before with a young priest who, believes in everything, is like whatever, and then you have the old priest who, as you say, disenfranchised, slightly
skeptical,
losing his faith. I wouldn't say losing faith. I would say he's lost his faith.
He's lost because he's just sort of like for every miracle you'll find the liar behind it, and the was it the magician or the trickster? He says
trickster. Yeah, I like that. I like that line because sort of, I suppose that kind of sums up the church in general because, like faith, a lot of people take the piss out of faith and stuff, and it's like, yeah, but it's something that keeps people going. And as soon as where's the evidence? But if you have evidence, it's not faith. So that's the whole thing. But I liked what they did with his character. I liked what they did with the young guy. And I liked that the young guy was sort of questioning him like quite early on.
Yep.
It wasn't as if it was like a real slow thing. He was being sort of very questioning early on, and it was kind of like, do you not believe in miracles? Like, have you not seen a miracle? And he's like, no, they don't exist. He basically says they don't exist.
Yeah, he's very quick to kind of try and put him in. I love there's the wee exchange they kind of have early on in the film, and the young priest is videoing him like inspecting the statue, and he's like, you should stop wasting your film on this and go and use it to shoot some of the girls at work and interview some of the nuns and stuff. And I just really like that we exchange because it's a real like wee moment before they properly start getting into it, like before the younger priest starts getting into it with them about his faith and miracles and stuff. It's just a real nice moment where you're starting to see the breadcrumbs are being laid to let you know that the older priest is like, this is a waste of time. Go and look into the abuse that's going on, the nuns abusing, because again, the older father is very quick to kind of turn around and be like, we need to look into what's actually going on here, which is abuse. And we see that fairly early on with the sister superior and the way she treats the young girl who's singing to the young priest.
She slaps her and sort of drags her, doesn't she? Yeah, so he's very much using this investigation to not investigate the miracle, but investigate, as you said, the kind of abuse that's going on, and that's nice as well to see. Because a lot of these types of films, the older the character is, the more evil they are, But I like that he felt very human throughout the whole film, and he wasn't just sort of traditional old priest. But yeah, fantastic performance from both him and the younger priest. He's called Lalor Roddy and the younger priest is called Ciaran Flynn. The Sister Superior was played by Helena Barine, I think her name is.
Yep.
I thought when we first met her, I thought I was like, oh, here we go, sort of stern Sister Superior, typical bitch. I thought she played her a wee bit hokey in the beginning, but after a few scenes, and I liked the conversations between her and the older priest as well. I started to come around to her a little bit more and was like, I say no, she's cool. And the way she sort of did look at the camera, but then she would ignore the camera.
Yeah.
But she would always sort of question that the camera shouldn't be there and shouldn't be filming. And then the old priest would then say, no, we've been ordered to document everything.
Yep.
So that's what allowed them to film. Things start turning around pretty quickly. So they're investigating the miracle of the statue of the Virgin Mary crying tears of blood.
She's weeping blood from her eye holes.
Weeping blood, which is a very common miracle that has happened throughout the years of the Catholic Church. And as you said, the priest is sort of laughing. Well, he's not laughing, but he's kind of being like, this isn't, well, I know this is going to be fake, because he's probably already investigated this at some other institute or church or parish, and he's found out that it's been a trickster, as you said. So he's doing what he's done before, and he's kind of looking at the statue very careful, and he's trying to see if there's something in behind the eyeballs that's triggered this. But then something spooky happens where all the statues start weeping.
They're all crying blood now.
At the same fucking time.
At the same time, they're all just weeping blood.
I know.
And then they get the blood tested, as you do.
Of course.
Get your Holy Mary blood tested.
But what leads from this is that they find out that there's something really, really spooky going on in this building, and then they actually
was it type O negative, and it's from somebody pregnant, but it's been no children or pregnant women in the asylum.
Yes.
Since the end of the war.
Yeah. So they find out that it's a girl called Catherine. Am I right? Did I get that right?
I think so.
Catherine. She's a young girl, a child. She's not a young child. She's
not a child, but yeah, she's
16 or
yeah.
So this
Kathleen O'Brien.
I apologize.
Being held in a secret room in the basement.
She is, against her will, because she's a mad bitch.
They go down.
They go down to the basement against Sister Superior's, will. But the old priest basically says, "Nah, fucking wise up. We go down here." So they go down and they find this young girl chained to the wall, in really bad conditions.
Even before that, though, before we actually get to all that spooky shit and the crying statues and all, sure, the night before, the young priest can't sleep because he's hearing children playing in the night, and there's that bit where he looks down over the edge of a banister and there's a wee girl playing with a doll, and then as he comes down the stairs, she fucking disappears and the wee toy's still sitting. But you can hear children. That's what prompts him to ask about, is there kids here? Because I could hear them in the night. And they're like, no, there's been no children here since the end of the war. That's right.
I will say that, we said a lot of good stuff about the film so far. I wasn't a massive fan of some of the audio stuff in it, with the kids crying and stuff.
It kind of leads in nicely to like the end. They're kind of led to the coven. They're kind of led there by this ghost, the children's spirits. But yeah,
I'm not being negative from a story perspective. I just think it could have been done a wee bit better. Maybe it was a wee bit too, I don't know. It could have been a wee bit more subtle. It felt like it was like quite loud. The audio was quite loud, and I think it could have been a wee bit more subtle.
I was going for a few jump scary things. There was a couple of times where I think they were trying to go for the jump scare, or trying to freak you out intentionally. And yeah, you're right. It doesn't always work. There's a fantastic bit. There was one bit where there was a nice wee subtle spooky, which if you're not paying attention, you would miss it. The bit I'm talking about? No. The bit when they've already. No, they've been down to the basement and found Kathleen, and they unchain her, and then Kathleen goes for her neck, so they've managed to get her back in the room, and the older priest demands, to get her bed and get her some water and food and stuff. And they're putting her back into the room onto the bed, and she gets on the bed and they're kind of standing away from it. But if you look, Kathleen puts her hand to the edge of the bed. As she puts her hand to the edge of the bed, another wee hand comes up and holds her hand. And it's a real wee subtle thing.
Yes.
And I was like, that's fucking creepy.
That's good shit.
That was good. But again, just a wee subtle thing that I was like, nice. But again, there's nice wee bits like that, but then there is some just very explicit, like, we're trying to scare you, we're gonna get you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, look, they have to do stuff like that occasionally because
that's what people want.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Paranormal Activity and all have done that to us. That's what audiences want. Or
to me, this really felt like a festival film. I mean, it felt like this would be very effective on a big screen at a festival, and it did debut. I think it had its world premiere at the Seattle International Film Festival, where it was nominated for Best Feature. So congratulations!
I was actually
it was nominated for Best Feature at the.
I was a bit
Seattle
surprised
Festival.
Whenever I came to watch it again there that it was as short as it was. I don't remember it being.
Yeah, it was like 75 minutes or something.
Something, like an hour and 50 minutes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which
perfect. Nice little time.
Mm-hmm. They probably could have added an extra 10 minutes and maybe drawn it out a little bit in the beginning to be a little bit more kind of like drawn out rather than going. But sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't work. But yeah, so it did do the festivals. It did do a few other festivals as well, and I think it was very successful. It was bought by IFC Midnight, who are big sales company and based in the US. So yeah, I think it did pretty well considering it was a small film, funded and filmed in Northern Ireland in 2 locations. So fair play to Aislinn and everyone involved. We'll finish up soon. We want to talk a little bit about some of the scenes in it. You mentioned jump scares. I'm not a huge fan of jump scares. I do like the odd one or two, don't get me wrong. And I am fully aware and will accept that some horror films do need them. When we get down to the basement at the end, it is very Blair Witchy. Or if you've seen the film Wreck, it's that kind of idea where they're crawling. There is a moment where they are crawling, but they're walking around tight spaces in this small corridor. It's lit up. It's a small light, and then there's a couple of things that jump out at the end. The Sister Superior scene at the end. To be fair, that kind of got me.
Her eyes are out.
Her eyes are they're white.
Her eyes are white, but isn't it the nun who originally wrote to them in the first place about the crying statues and said something wrong? Her eyes are like pulled out of her skull and stuff, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, there's not. I think the effects are pretty good. There's not an awful lot of effects. They're done. They sort of pull back a little bit on the effects because obviously through budget restraints or whatever. But whenever they go,
I suppose as well, they're working. They're working to like a handheld camera specification.
It's
dark.
Yeah.
They don't need to be over the top or.
It works because in that room when Kathleen's, when they go back into the room and she starts floating and it gets very exorcisty. I loved that. Like I thought that was really well done. She's essentially possessed by this evil entity, I suppose. And she is pregnant as well. So, but I thought that was really well done. I thought all the effects in it was very, very effective, and they didn't come across as being,
like B-movie.
Yeah, like fucking carny or anything like that. It was really, really well done and effective, and I like that. As we talked about the look of the film, we talked about how it felt like it was from that era, and I liked that was one of the things that Janine mentioned as well. She said that she didn't watch much of it, but she was coming in and out of the room as I was watching it, and that was one of the things she mentioned was she really liked the look of it, and she was like, "When was this made?" And I was like, "It was only made in 2018." She was like, "What?" She was really shocked that it was made so because she genuinely thought it was. From a time period, maybe not the 60s, but she thought it was of a time period, an older time period. So, so there you go. You fooled Janine. as we mentioned, Aislinn Clarke is, I think, currently filming her latest horror film. I think it is set in Ireland as well. I haven't actually read much about it. I tried to quickly Google stuff before I came on here, but really looking forward to seeing what she does next because I think she's a great talent.
This is definitely it's a really good sort of, if this is what she's coming out with to start.
Yeah,
it'll be excellent to see what she can do with a bit more budget and that sort of thing as well.
I mean, I know she's done a few shorts before this, but I think this is a great film to present to the world and say, look, this is my debut feature film.
Yeah.
You know, it's a wee bit rough around the edges. We get that. Of course it's going to be, but you know, to present that to the world, I think it's fucking, you know, is a great job, and because it features Northern Ireland talent as well, which is very important. And
which isn't cringy.
It's not cringy at all. Let's hope there's no fucking what about yous?
Oh, just wish
at the next film. I know. My name's Joseph. And I'm from Belfast.
I'm from Belfast, so I am. To be fair, yeah, no, it's hard to pull off, but when you do the Northern Irish thing well, it's good, and especially that's why I love the likes of, and we will get talking about it, Boys County Hell. It does the Northern Irish thing well too.
It does.
So yeah, and this did it as well. So we appreciate that. We do. Being from here, we appreciate when it's done well, and it's not. I think it's one of those things. It's because we try to slow ourselves down so that we're understood by other people, you know. And I think that's why you get that almost like, "Hello, how are you doing? Would you like a cup of tea?" We just want to be understood.
I always say, I try to speak a wee bit slower sometimes on these videos because I'm like, I know that I speak quite quickly, and I'm like, no, I must slow it down. Slow it down.
If we were to talk the way we talk when we're in person and we're not recording, you would never understand us.
Nah,
you just wouldn't.
You should probably think we're from Scotland as well.
Those pesky Ballymena people sound like from Scotland. Oh, where are they like?
I know, fucking. Anyway, yeah, really enjoyed the film. Looking forward to seeing what she does next. I think it's, if you're in the US, I think it's on Shudder. But if you're outside of the US, I think you have to rent it via digital platforms. So please do go and look at the film if you haven't seen it already. And then if you've seen it, let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below. But
also let us know Northern Irish stuff. If there's anything we haven't, we'd kind of talked a few there in the video, but if there's anything that you would recommend that is locally made, pop it in the comments below, please.
Yes, I'm sure there's a few things out there that we are unaware of. There's quite a few other Irish horror films from the south that we've watched that we like. So, but yeah, we're all for the Northern Ireland stuff. So, and please go and help and support some fucking films from Northern Ireland. We're doing all right.
We're doing good.
We're doing not too bad.
We've got some good stuff coming out, and not us personally.
But, you know, not us personally, but Northern Ireland in general.
Once we know, and once from roundabout are doing stuff and getting stuff made. So if you get the opportunity, if you know somebody or know somebody who knows somebody, hit them up, or even just words of encouragement are always good to encourage your filmmaking friends.
Yes, big people up, lift them up. That's what we're here to do. So yes, we will be back in a couple of weeks for another episode of Monday Night Frights. Please go follow us on Twitter and Instagram. It's at the Fright Club NI, and go and like the Facebook page as well, and visit the website at www.thefrightclubni.com. Danny, what else do they have to do?
They gotta like this video. They gotta comment. They gotta subscribe to us. They gotta hit the bell icon. And just say nice things to your mates about us, and all.
Please do, yeah. Share the video and tell your pals about us if you can, because
otherwise we'll set a gaggle of nuns on you.
A gaggle of nuns? That
a gaggle of nuns. I don't know, what do you call a group of nuns? A cluster? A gaggle?
A murder?
Flock? A murder? Oh, a murder of nuns. Oh,
they're sort of like crows, aren't they? They're kind of black. They've got the habity thing.
Maybe they're not penguins at all. They're crows. That would make sense.
What do you call
magpies?
What do you call a group of penguins?
A flock? Yeah, I don't know.
Nah, I don't think they're flock.
I don't feel I need to check out now. Hold on. I'm going to tell you right now.
I like a murder of nuns.
I do like a murder of them as well. So group of.
Or is it a coven?
Well, a coven maybe, but again, that's more witchy. And do they like that?
Well, they're
It's
witches,
called
aren't
a
they?
waddle. A group of penguins is called a
As a
waddle.
waddle, of course it is.
A wee waddle. In the water, sorry. If they're in the water, so if the penguins are in the water, they're called a raft. A raft of nuns. But that's only sea nuns. Land nuns are a waddle.
Sea nuns, as in the letter C, as in the
Sea.
big C's, as in they're fucking cunts. Is that where you're going from here?
No, but I mean,
The C word.
Not all of them, just a few of them.
Sister
You know,
Mary
we
Clarence.
can't.
It's grand.
Yeah, it's all right. They're not all bad. We don't. That's it. We don't want to. We're not those sort of people that tar people with the wrong brush. But there were bad eggs amongst
There
them.
was a lot of bad
You
eggs.
know, in the Magdalene laundries and in schools
Yes.
and stuff. I'm pretty sure there's like at least one like granny or auntie or ma in every family that has a bad nun story. There's at least
100%.
one.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Right, anyway, we're going to fuck off now, but please go check out the film Devil's Doorway. We weren't too spoilery in this video. We tried to keep it a little bit leaner.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad actually.
We didn't want to give away too much, but it's definitely worth a watch. And turn the lights off when you're watching it.
Yep.
Definitely.
Get real atmosphere and yeah.
Right, anyway, we'll be back in 2 weeks. As always, stay safe, take care. All the best.
Bye.